नहमदुहु व नुसल्ली अला रसूलिहिल करीम अम्मा बाद फ़अऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम रब्बि इश्रह ली सदरी यस्सिर ली अमरी वहलुल उक़दतम मिन लिसानी यफ़क़हू क़ौली। अस्सलामु अलैकुम व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातहू। Alhamdulillah, we have entered in the month of Rabiul Awwal, and it's a holy month in Islam, as Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had his birth in this month. Now, today's topic is about foundation of the Islamic community. That is the first year of Hijrah. And in the first year of Hijrah, there was building of Masjid al-Nabi. It's the mosque of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And it's establishment of Mawahat, means brotherhood. The first task of Rasul Akram Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in Medina was to build a masjid for the Muslims. Allah wants the Muslims to build a masjid wherever they go. The Quran says, it's mentioned in Surah Tawbah at number 18, that indeed the masjid of Allah will be built and visited by those who believe in Allah and the last day, established salat and pay regular zakat, and fear none except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rasul Akram Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and his Sahaba radiallahu anhu showed us the meaning of this verse. In front of Abu Ayyub's radiallahu anhu house, there lay an empty plot of land. It was the property of two orphans. Rasul Akram Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam purchased it from them. Rasul Akram Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and his companions worked hard to build the masjid. Everyone felt honored to work side by side with Rasul Akram Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam for the building of the masjid. People carried stones, mud bricks, and pillars made of date trunks. As they worked, they sang together, "There is no comfort but the comfort of the hereafter. O Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, have mercy on the Ansar and the Muhajirun." Rasul Akram Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam himself worked harder than anybody else. Sahaba wanted him to rest and let them do the work, but he did not agree. He always did what he taught. For the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he was not ready to do less than anyone else. His example shows us that for the leaders of the Muslim Ummah, it is important to work harder than other Muslims. Rasul Akram Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam advised us, for anyone who builds a masjid for Allah, Allah builds a house for him in paradise. As you have seen, maybe many of us, we have visited Masjid Nabi, and Masjid Nabi now what we look, it was not like before, means before 1400, as I have just mentioned. It was made up of date trunk and wood and mud. And now alhamdulillah, if we will see, Masjid Nabi is not like before. Seeing Rasul Akram Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's work so hard, the Sahaba were encouraged. They instantly composed a couplet and sang it. How can we rest when Rasul Akram Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam works? This act of ours will be the worst. See, when nowadays, if there are leaders, they just push their colleagues or their workers to work hard, and they just take rest, or they just instruct their workers from behind. But this is our leader, our Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He was, in each case we will see, he was not just sitting behind. He was in the field always. And here itself, building Masjid Nabi, he was not just sitting behind. He was doing himself. When the masjid was completed, it was a very simple square-shaped building about 50 yards wide. It was made up of mud, stones, date bark and date leaves. there was a platform called Sufa. This became the house of those poor Muslims who had no homes. They are called Ashabus Sufa, the people of Sufa. The people of Sufa had no means of their own. They had clothes which barely covered them. They had hardly any food to eat. For the love of Rasul Akram Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, these people preferred to stay in the masjid. Rasul Akram Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam showed them special affection. He shared with them whatever little he had. These people spent their nights in prayers and days in learning Islam. This Sufa may be called the first residential university of Islam. Soon after, a few small rooms were added to this masjid for the family of Rasul Akram Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. After some time, Sauda radiallahu anha, the wife of Rasul Akram Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, whom he married after Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anhu's death, arrived to stay in these rooms. She was later joined by young Aisha radiallahu anha when she arrived from Makkah. Now Rasul Akram Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam himself led 5 daily prayers. Most of the time he was in the masjid with other Muslims. The Masjid al-Nabi is the second holiest place of Islam. The first holiest place is Kaaba. The second holiest place is Masjid al-Nabi, and the third holy place is Bayt al-Muqaddas, which is in Jerusalem. Now the masjid was many things to Muslims: a house of worship, a university of Islam, a meeting place, a government office, and a military headquarters. Rasul Akram Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam showed that a masjid must be center of Muslims. Total life, through his example, he showed us that before Muslims build their homes, they must build a masjid. Rasul Akram Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam discussed with Muslims the method to inform people about their daily prayers. It was not until the second year of Hijrah that a Sahabi, Abdullah bin Zubair, had a dream. Someone taught him the words of Adhan. Rasul Akram Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam liked it. Umar radiallahu anhu soon confirmed that he saw a similar dream. The words were accepted as a way to invite people to say their salat. Bilal radiallahu anhu of Habsha became the first mueddin, that is the caller of prayer. Ever since, believers are called to salat by these words 5 times a day. An equally important task for Rasul Akram Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was to arrange for homes, food and money for the Muhajirun. They did not want to be burdened on their Ansar brothers. One day, the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam called the Muhajirun and the Ansar together. He told the Ansar to accept the Muhajirun as their brothers. Each Ansar must accept a Muhajir as his brother. He said, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake, 2 of you become brothers to each other. He himself held the hand of his cousin Ali radiallahu anhu and said, this is my brother. People knew the love of Rasul Akram Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam for Ali radiallahu anhu, and Ali radiallahu anhu his love for Rasul Akram Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. They understood Rasul Akram Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam wants them to establish similar relationship of pure love and devotion for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. Rasul Akram Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam uncle Hamza radiallahu anhu, the pure blooded Quraysh, became the brother of Zaid, the freed slave of Rasul Akram Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Then one by one, a Muhajir and an Ansar were picked by Rasul Akram Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and declared as brothers. This relationship is called Mawakhat, the brotherhood. They became like real brothers. Each Ansar took the Muhajir brother home. He shared his house, land and money with him. The Muhajirin were grateful. They accepted only as much as they needed. They became real brothers to the Ansar. Some Muhajirin soon learned farming, others started businesses of their own. Some of them became very rich. They always remembered the kindness of the Ansar and helped their Ansar brothers in every way possible. So this was our today's lecture. Inshallah, next week we will see the next Madni period, that is the evolution of the Islamic community. Wa akhiru dawana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. And please, this is the month of Rabiul Awwal, increase the durood we were doing before, and today is alhamdulillah 12 Rabiul Awwal. So the only gift we can just give to Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is just to follow his sunnah. Whatever is mentioned by him, we have to follow. We have to follow Quran and Ahadith. We have to follow whatever he has instructed to do, and we have to stay away from whatever he has prohibited us to do, and recite more and more दुरूद शरीफ. वाखिर दुआना अल्हम्दुलिल्लाहि रब्बिल आलमीन. अस्सलामु अलैकुम व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातहू.